I am prepared, in fact I'm excited to answer questions that you may have about Governor's Cabinet or what we've been up to.
Okay. Has there been any pushback or opposition towards you or any policy you've created or endorsed up until this point in the conference?
So yesterday we went in to watch each of our GovCap bills go through. So first we brought up mental health in the House and education in the Senate. Obviously they'll be going in their respective counterparts today. We really didn't expect very much opposition on education, especially since it includes raises for teachers, which everybody loves. We had some opposition to the mechanism of the raises for the teachers. So we were a little bit surprised by that, but we weren't too concerned because I think overall we had the same intent as the people who opposed us. I also think it's kind of funny to characterize when people oppose our bills as even opposition, because we're working towards the same goals. We haven't had anybody get up and say, we don't agree with education reform, or we don't think mental health is an issue, or we think the death penalty is fun and good. We've had people say, here's another way in which we could do that. And while we respectfully think that our way is better, we're really excited that other people would take the time to think about it so much. And in some cases, it's really exciting, exhilarating even, to get the chance to have an interesting debate like that. We had a really interesting discussion with the sponsors of the popular vote allocation bill that we vetoed. And it's pretty constructive.
Okay. Which GovCab bills have passed thus far?
So education passed Senate and mental health passed House. Right now, Senate might actually be on mental health. I don't know because I'm in here, but this is about the time that it should be appearing. So hopefully it'll pass there. We're pretty sure it will. We started them in the houses. We thought that they would we were very strategic in which houses we started them in, and we think that mental health has a really good chance in Senate. So.
How has the GovCab gotten started with the budget? Like, have you created it as you've gone, or do you plan on doing that at close of day today?
So
how are you crafting the budget?
We have a really wonderful budget person, Jake Bennett, and a really wonderful budget team. Emma Sanders is helping them with the budget as well. In fact, actually right now, there are 5 GovCab members, or 4 in addition to Jake, out in the hallway working on budget. Jake is so on it that we actually started the budget before we got to the conference, and Jake and I were talking about potential tax changes to make our tax burden more equitable on citizens of Tennessee who have lower income or who have strenuous circumstances. So right now we're actually doing pretty peachy, I guess would be the best word, because we don't have bills that cost very much, except for just a handful, and they're being integrated really well. Tennessee also has a history of practicing pretty responsible fiscal policy, thanks to Governors Bredesen and Haslam, so we have a lot of good precedent to work with.
Okay. Would you mind telling me how GovCab is being influenced or affected by the other conference components?
Well, GovCab exists to serve the other conference components, so we really spend a lot of time looking at what the other conference components are doing. We have liaisons assigned to each of the components, so right now Omkar and Grace are downstairs, and they're keeping track of the blue components, letting us know what's going on, which of our endorsed bills have come up, and they're reporting back to us. AJ Varner is in charge of Senate right now, and in House we've got a whole crew of people because we are just a little worried about House right now. But right now, the primary contact point for House right now is Ricky. And so we spend a lot of time taking the pulse of the other components, trying to figure out what they want from us, and then also communicating with sponsors of bills once we decide to pass or veto them. If there's one that we know the sponsor's going to be really excited when it's signed into law, we invite the sponsor to come for the signing. If we know there's a veto, we try to bring the people in so we can have a conversation with them, because we want to pass every bill or sign into law every bill, but we can't. So we like to bring them here, and we feel as if they deserve an explanation after all the hard work that they've done. So we interact with the other components almost entirely, or almost all the time. I was standing outside of our room this morning, and one of the conference staff came up to me and was like, it's almost 9, you should probably go into your committee, or you're into your component. And it kind of struck me as odd because our component is everywhere. I feel like our job is to try to be everywhere and try to figure out what's going on and how we can best serve, I guess, the constituents would be the word. I feel like pretty happily in Parks and Rec.
Okay. Lastly, we just want to open up a moment for you to address the public and give any messages or updates that you feel would be needed.
Okay. I think that everybody should know about vetoes. We don't like vetoing things. It's not fun, but we have to from time to time because the bills just aren't quite what they're not necessarily always responsible. And if we can veto it with an amendment, that's what we do. So for example, right now we have one coming through Red Senate again that will just change some language, and then we are going to be overjoyed, as I put it to the sponsors, to send it into law. So just know that we are really scrutinizing your bills before we sign them into law or before we veto them, and that thank you for your hard work, and we're sorry if we have to veto it, but sometimes we do.
Okay. Thank you, Governor Simon Cooper, for your time.
Thank you for your time.